Welcome to River City Plus, the show after the show, and we're continuing our conversation with Apple Rabbit Compost founder and compostess, Tiffany Bess. Did you make that word up?
I did.
I love it. A little rancism from Tiffany. Sorry. Oh my goodness. I'm like, just spit it out, son. So, oh my God. Okay. So, having said all, I know, right? So, if you've never seen Tiffany out, you're seeing her in a different light today because usually she is out in the wild and she's got her hands in the dirt or in organic materials, doing much to help with Jacksonville's sustainability. And right now, you see a graphic about a party that's coming up tonight at Murray Hill Farmers Market. And but for those that don't know, I know we talked about it a little bit on the show, but you are big about composting, and people might not really understand the concept.
Yeah, that's pretty common. So composting is basically just recycling for your food scraps or your yard waste. So we're turning these materials that are normally thrown away and wasted into a very valuable resource.
And so we're not talking about the containers that anything comes in. It's like maybe your banana peels or, what about, this is totally off topic because I started throwing them in the freezer before I threw them out. Like shrimp shells and stuff like that. Is that part, can you compost those or are we looking,
So technically, most certainly you can. Anything that was once alive is going to be composted or compostable. But generally, if you are composting in your backyard or even community-size composting, you want to avoid meat and dairy just to avoid spreading pathogens or attracting any critters. So although it is compostable, for most methods, you want to avoid adding them.
Just making sure, I'm trying to inform you guys at home so when you guys get into it. Now, what actually got you into composting?
Yeah, so I had just started the recycling program at the restaurant I was working at in 2015. I had also started a garden in my yard, so I had recycling and gardening on the mind. So it was a very natural leap to combine the two. And so when I started bringing home the food scraps from the restaurant to add to the compost tumbler that I created, I found that it filled up really, really quickly. And now I had to wait months for it to finish composting. And I was still throwing away all this material. And it was just kind of weighing really heavily on me. Like, why are we throwing away this very valuable resource? And so I did some research to see if Jacksonville had any of these options available, and we didn't. So at first I was kind of like, oh, what a bummer. We don't have anything. But it kept nagging in the back of my mind. And so by winter 2015, I was determined to do it myself. And so I started on it.
All right. And it has expanded because like I said, I remember when we first met and we went on a run where you were picking up compost around the neighborhoods and stuff. And it's a lot of work just picking up and then getting it all together and doing your thing. So kudos to you for doing that. And obviously it's paid off because, you've managed to sustain the business and expansion I know is kind of slow. But you were able to kind of finesse your way and to a conversation with the mayor.
Yes.
And we have Jacksonville Compost Awareness Month.
Yes, very exciting. So every first full week of May is International Compost Awareness Week. And so I sent in a proclamation to the mayor's office to officially proclaim it Compost Awareness Week. But she did one better and proclaimed the whole month of May Compost Awareness Month here in Jacksonville. So very exciting. It is the first time we've had Compost Awareness Month here. And it's really exciting to finally see people in Jacksonville wanting to do the right thing.
The right thing. Now explain that too. Is you've got this motto, and if you're like taking a quick glance, you're like, somebody misspelled right. So you're telling people, what is the phrase again?
The rot thing. Do the rot thing.
So explain.
Yeah, so I just want people to compost, to do the rot thing. You know, I like to say, if you eat food, you should be composting. Everybody should be composting. And sometimes people will be like, oh, I don't garden, or I don't have the space for it. And there's really no excuse, because there's tons of different methods. You should be composting even if you don't have a garden, just to keep that material out of the landfill. So everyone needs to do the rot thing.
Now, explain that too, because when we were on the show and you were talking about the benefits of composting, because you said people think when organic material goes to a landfill that it's going to organically rot.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. So explain that for us.
Very, very common misconception. People will think that when they send their food scraps to the landfill, that it's eventually going to turn into compost. But it doesn't. There's actually been instances where we've exhumed landfills and we've found newspapers, from the 50s right next to an uneaten apple core, and it still looks the way it looked when it went in there. So landfills kind of more than decompose the material, it actually just kind of mummifies it. And so it's just sitting there, not doing any good for our environment. It's releasing greenhouse gases into our atmosphere. That raises the Earth's temperature, leads to storms and flooding and wildfires. So getting this organic material out of the landfill and getting it back into our soil is the best thing that we could do.
Do you remember when people were doing that experiment with McDonald's stuff and letting it sit forever, and then it's like, it's still edible? But it's just the fact that I never even would have considered that, like, your apple core from 50 years ago is like, wow, that's just a little bit wilted, but it's still come on, people, we're working on our sustainability. And then what does it mean for you to know that Jacksonville has started to embrace this lifestyle and are actually making an effort to try to connect and work on our sustainability?
That's honestly the most beautiful thing for me. When I first started Apple Rabbit Compost, it was lonely. I was the only one doing it. I was shouting things off the rooftops and sometimes falling on deaf ears. And now that, composting has advanced here in Jacksonville, I have friends in the industry. I have soil mates, and we work together, and that's who I'm going to be working with tonight at the Compost Awareness celebration. But it's just been really good to see this shift happen and people taking it seriously and realizing that this is something that we need to do, is something that we can do very, very easily.
So really quick, it's going down tonight. Tell them what you're doing.
Yeah, so I'm going to be partnering with the Murray Hill Farmers Market to bring a compost celebration. It's going to be tonight from 5 to 8 at Fishweir Brewing. We're going to have a series of talkers, my soil mates, and we're going to speak all about what compost is, why it's important, how you can close the food loop on our local food systems, and how y'all can just do the right thing,
I'll be there to eat. So I'll be there to support the locals, as you should, and, some good information to learn. So if you want to keep up with Tiffany and what she's doing, composting all over the world, you can go to applerabbit.org and follow her on social. But kudos to you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Congratulations on getting your month, and they're like, it's my month.
Yes.
Some people have a birthday month. She has a compost month.
I do.
All right, so you know the drill. We'll be back tomorrow for more River City Plus, and at 9:30 for River City Live.
Thank you.